Brilliant. Thank you very much, Julia. Right. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope you are settling back into school life. So my name's Nikki Kimball. This is session 2 of 3 sessions that we have planned for you in Aberdeenshire. So this is the introduction to the teacher tools. So this is what we're going to be covering today. It's focused around the teacher tools, so that what we consider the teacher tools are going to be your J2 stars, J2 message, J2 homework, and the parent portal. And I know lots of you are keen on the parent portal. I've seen that in a lot of the feedback from last week's session. So we will be covering that. I'm going to cover that towards the end of the session, simply because it's easier to understand it once you've got a knowledge of the other tools that go into the parent portal. And actually I've forgotten to put spell blast on there, so I've shoehorned spell blast in as well. So for you literacy leads out there, be pleased to know you can set your own spelling lists. I'm then going to show you where you can go for training opportunities. Again, I'm just going to remind you of where you can access that and any contact details we've got. Now, questions, as always, happily received through the chat. I've got both Julia and Jim in the background helping out. So hopefully they'll be able to answer the majority of your questions. Any questions they can't answer, we can save to the end, or they may well unmute themselves and put me on the spot. But I have also scheduled a Q&A session at the end. So unfortunately, today's session is much less practical than the previous session, simply because of the nature of the tools themselves. They're kind of designed to be used with pupils engaging with you. You'll understand once we go through the session. So just a quick refresher. I'm hoping that the majority of you have attended the previous session. If not, you can access Just2Easy through Glow. So through your Glow account, and there should be a j2e.com logo on your launchpad there. Alternatively, you can go to j2e.com and there is an RM Unify button. So you click on that and then use your Glow credentials to log in. It's really personal preference, whichever you want to do. So I will leave that with you. So let's get straight into it. So we're going to start off with J2 stars. So this is a fantastic classroom management tool in terms of behaviour. So it's all about rewarding positive behaviours and awarding points and stars for your students. Now it's a fab tool because you can add, and this is a new update, you can add personalised feedback to your students, so you can not only award them points, but you can also write little sentences about why you awarded those points. You have the autonomy to be able to reset your own class points, adjust those points, and set your own points. So if there's certain targets you're working to within class, I know you, those of you that are working maybe with younger students, it might be things like just sitting on your carpet spot. Whereas for your older students, you might be working on, you know, handing in homework on time and that kind of thing. And you can also create your student certificates, so you can award students once they get to a certain amount of points, that kind of thing. So let's have a look at it. So J2 stars can be found here. It's this lovely tile here. And it opens up like this. So you'll be able to see all of your classes. So this is great from a higher management perspective. You can still click into any class and see how they're behaving. So I'm going to open up my demo class, which is class 1. And here I can see all of my pupils. Now, for some bizarre reason, it does list you as a teacher in there. So you might want to award yourself some points, you know, do my planning for the week. But you'll be able to see all of your students. Now, by default, it is listed with the children with the most points come at the top. But you can change that view, which I'll show you in a second. So, for example, maybe I want to award one of my students a star. So I'm going to choose Noah. I'm just going to click on Noah, and I've got these different skills that I can now award. So I'm going to say, well done, Noah. Kind, well done. I'm going to award Lottie. So I'm going to click on Lottie. I want to award Lottie a point for being kind. Oh, no, I didn't do that right. Excuse me. I need to click this leave comment box. So I'm going to tick that, then I'm going to tick on the skill, and now I can leave some feedback. So I could say Lottie helped a new student settle in today. And there we go, I can add feedback. So that's a great way of just giving immediate positive feedback to your students. You can also award points on a whole school, whole class basis. And we can add feedback if we want to. We can untick that box. Everyone's working hard, so everyone is awarded those points now. Now, in terms of rearranging how we see that class, you do have your settings up here on the right-hand side. And this is your class settings. So these are everything to do with just this particular class. We do also have whole school settings, which again, I'm going to show you in a second. So here we go. We've got how we can sort our students. So you might want to sort first name basis, alphabetical order, how many positive points they have, their display name, or their combined points. So combined points just means points that they might be awarded if they're in different teaching classes. So it's entirely up to you which one you want to have that as sorted as. Now, I did say you can set your own skills, so that can be done here via the skills tab. And also when you're awarding, so let me just show you, when you're awarding a skill, a point, you do have that edit skills button at the bottom. So they both go to the same area. And here we can add a skill. So for example, maybe let's go with that example, sitting on, oh, I've already put it in, there we go, sitting on my carpet spot. And I might want to award that as 2 points, for example. So there we go. I can choose an icon. Now we have some preset icons, or you can also choose from my files. So this might be a good way of introducing some JIT drawing skills. So you could use JIT Paint, save that as an image, and you can use that from my files. But sitting on a carpet spot, I'm just going to have, I don't know, here we go, let's go for a rainbow. And I'm going to save that. Now that will save at the end. So there is my new skill. You can also reset points. So here we have points, and we can reset our class points. So that just resets your class's points. It doesn't reset any other class's points. An alternative to resetting points, you can just view points based on a time frame. So based on monthly, weekly, or daily. So it's entirely up to you. Again, personal preference about how you want to showcase those points. Other things that we have available, we can click a randomizer. So this will replace your lollipops in a jar on your desk. If you want to choose a random child, just randomize it, and then we go, it'll choose a child for you. Here you go and take the register to the class. Oh, it's going to take a while. There we go. David, go and take the register. I'm showing my age there, aren't I? I bet it's all done digitally now. But we used to send children to the class with registers. So there you go. And you can add feedback straight away, or you can cycle again. And then you've got your timer. Who doesn't need a timer? So you've got your countdown and your stopwatch. So 2 very useful teacher tools there. Other things that we can do, we can also view our users. So this is going to show us Lottie's points that she's been awarded. It'll sort of demonstrate when she was awarded them. This is her total number of points over that time frame. So we could say in the last week, she hasn't had any. In this month, in this week, there we go. She's had 5 this week. And we can see who's awarded them and in which class, and also if there's any feedback that will showcase underneath. Now, this is one of the tools that is within the parent portal, and this is the view that your parents will have. I will show you the other side a bit later, but just be aware this is what they will be able to see. Okay, and this is what the pupils will see. This is the only version that they see, so they don't see the whole class version. Now, as a teacher, you also have the ability to remove points. So maybe you've awarded this by mistake. So let's have a look. I've awarded this being kind by mistake, so I wanted to add some feedback. So there we go. I've deleted that. You can also generate certificates. So that will generate for just that one particular point. There we go, working hard, 1 point. We can say, there we go, 1 point. So that will either show her total number of points or the number of points awarded for that particular skill that you were clicking on. So you can print that out. There we go. Or we can create a custom certificate. So you can add text in there for, you know, just saying maybe she was really kind one day or she did some great spellings. You can change that certificate. So there we go. So that is J2 stars. The only other thing that your students can do, they can change their avatar. So they have this option here and they can change this. Now, I had a school that were using this really effectively for social, emotional, mental health check-ins. And they would get their students to log in every morning. They would then change their avatar to reflect how they were feeling. So let's find a sad face. There we go. And they would save their avatar. So then as a teacher, so let's just go back. I'm going to launch stars again because I don't know what's going on. There we go. So as a teacher, you can view all of your students and we can see Lottie there. She's not looking very happy. Mark's not looking very happy either. So I might just need to do a bit of a check-in with that child. So that's just, I thought that was a nice activity to do with your students, linked into social, emotional, mental health. So that's J2 stars. Oh, I forgot to show you. I'm not very organised today. It's about the 10th webinar I've done this week. Your school view. So this is more geared towards ICT leads. You do have the ability here to reset settings that apply to the whole school. So when I open up these settings, these are different from the class settings. Here we are able to turn off. So if I scroll down here, I'm in the skills tab. At the bottom, I can switch on or off negative skills. This really is dependent on your behaviour policy, whether you acknowledge negative or you give consequences for negative behaviours. So you don't have to have this. You can switch it off. You can allow your teachers to choose, or you can have it on for all classes. And you can also combine negative points or not. So if you do choose to have negative points switched on, that you can again add skills in exactly the same way. So you can add a skill, maybe forgetting to do homework 5 times in a row or that sort of thing. And again, you can allow classes to choose whether they award those or not. Then this tab, the points tab, I preface this with a warning. I wouldn't press either of those unless you're an ICT lead. These will reset the points for the entire school. So this generally I would say is kind of a 1 time a year or maybe 1 time a term thing to do. So you might want to reset points, you know, every September 1st or whenever you go back to school. Just be mindful about pressing that one. And this one is even worse. That's why it's in red. The hard reset, that will basically do a factory reset. So it will reset any skills that have been added by any teachers. It will reset any points. So just be mindful. Okay, right. So that is J2 stars. Moving swiftly on, we're going to look at Spell Blast. We can add our own spellings here. So I love this tool. It is part of our Blast games. So they are games-based learning. We have a variety to choose from. So we have TT Blast, SATS Blast for the end of Key Stage 1, which is your P3s, end of Key Stage 2, so that's P7s, and then Key Stage 3 is your secondary post-primary schools. TT Blast works in exactly the same way as Spell Blast. It's just times tables and not spellings. So I'm going to open up Spell Blast. Word of warning, this is a very noisy app. So if you are having a little play around whilst I'm talking with a different device, just make sure your volume's down. And equally, if you're using this in class, it might be time to invest in some headphones because 30 devices going off with the noise that this app makes, it would send me over the edge as a teacher. So there are 2 areas there is the go live area. I'm just going to show you how noisy it is. But it gives you spellings that are specific to your skill set. So it uses very clever artificial intelligence.
Off. Take off.
There we go.
Bun. Hot cross bun. Run. Run really fast.
You can either type or you can use the keypad here in the top right hand corner. So that's great if you have got children using iPads, touchscreens, that kind of thing. So I'm going to come out of there. But basically, students are awarded points for every correct spelling they get. There will be a class leaderboard. So you can see I'm not doing particularly well. It does toggle between over the last 7 days and overall time. So there you go. Even still, I'm not doing very well compared to some of them. And I also have my school leaderboard and the world leaderboard. I mean, some of these scores are just insane. These children must play this all day, every day. So it's great for motivation. It's an age-old, you know, practicing your spellings. It's an age-old teaching practice, just with a digital slant on it now. You also have this practice, have a practice area. Now, when we click on that, we're given the preset ones. So these are linked to letters and sounds as a scheme of work. It's not the right phrase, like a spelling scheme. So we go from phase 2, so your CVC words up to your CVVCs and beyond. And then we go to year 1, and then right up to year 5 and 6, and your high frequency, most common words. So your students can choose to practice any of these if they wanted to, but as a teacher, we can share lists. So these are the ones that are shared with me. So I'm going to show you how you can share a list with your students. And that can be done through this ABC button here. Okay, so we're going to create a spelling list. We're going to open up the My tab, and we're just going to press this big plus button here. And here we can add our own words. So I'm going to be very imaginative and add in my, let's go for CVC words, and let's change that to autumn 2 this time. So maybe I'm getting prepared for my term ahead. So I'm going to spell bun, pun, run. There we go. I'm going to keep it simple. And I'm going to click OK. Now, by default, it will use generated speech. You can record your own audio. Now, with your lovely, thick Scottish accents, I would probably recommend that, simply because your students are going to be attuned to the Scottish accent. So they might, I don't know, they might struggle with the English accent. It's very English. So you have that option there. You can tick that little radio box that says you record spellings, and then it's going to give you a little prompt here, and you just hit record. Bun. And then click OK. So that now has recorded that, and I can listen back to it. Bun. And then if you do want to record the audio for each word, you do need to use these arrows and follow that process for every word. So we'll try again. Pun. And then the last one, I'm going to click, record, run. And that has linked all of those. And I have run through them all. So you can see that little arrow has now sort of grayed out, and I can click OK. So that has saved all those. Now, anything that I create in Just2Easy, it creates into my own account. So if I want my students to access any content that I've made, I need to share it. So that is done here by clicking on this little person. I'm going to use this little drop down. So I'm just going to zoom in so you can see. I've got little 2 arrows. Now you can write a user, but the way the Glow users are named, you might struggle. So I would recommend that you use this sort of double arrow button here. So when I click on that, which is not going to do it now, how annoying. Let's try that again. Why is that not working? Let's try again. There we go. Don't know what was going on there. You can then choose a user or a class. So there's my teaching class. You have access to set to all classes as well. So I'm going to choose my class, which is class 1, and they now have access to that. So just to show you how this will work, I've got my student logged in. So she would open up Blast. She would go to Spell Blast, and then she would go to the Have a Practice area. And then she would choose from the Shared tab. So there is that CVC Words Autumn 2 pun. And it would say the words run. So I'm going to spell it incorrectly just so you can see. Run gives you a visual prompt. Bun. And there we go. So my student, they can save this. So that will save to the My Files. So that just saves that spelling test. But the data itself, whether they save that or not, will save into your teacher account. So just to show you, I'm going to open up this ABC, and you'll see now I've got this little chart. So I can click that, and that's shown me that Lottie's completed it and which word she has misspelt. So just to show you on some of the others, so this one has 4 players. So I can see that. I can see who has struggled. So these have all got 100%. I can see the most incorrectly spelt words. Now, the bigger the word, the more consistently was misspelt. So great if you really need to, get some information about which words to maybe consolidate in other activities. If they have struggled a little bit, you'll notice that Millie, the other students I can't click on, but Millie, I can click on Millie's name, and that's going to show me specifically to Millie which words she misspelt, so I can focus on those with Millie herself. So that is data that's specific to that particular spelling test. The other bit of data, and this is going to be music to literacy leads or English leads, is you've also got the access to all data. So that is here, this little graph. So I can see my entire school. I can change the period. So let's have a look over the year. You're going to give me a little sort of overview. So 10 people are doing really well. They've got 100%. Charlie has the most right answers over that year, and we can print a Blast certificate if we wish. But this is quite interesting. So we can see at a glance where each class, where they are performing. So let's have a look. So class 7 on, let's go class 1. So we can click on our list and we can have a look. Let's have a look at class 1. Now I can see at a glance that Noah and Pierre are struggling a little bit. They are lagging a little bit behind. Millie's doing all right. Lottie's doing all right. So I can actually look at Pierre and Noah, and that shows me that tracks, who am I on? Pierre. That tracks Pierre against the black is the class and the blue is the school. So I can actually see that Pierre's not doing well, but he hasn't actually practiced his spelling since January, so that's probably why he's not doing too well. So let's have a look at Lottie, because she plays quite a lot. And that gives us some really interesting data. So I can see actually Lottie's not doing too badly. She's kind of tracking mostly quite closely with the rest of the school and her class. And that gives me an idea of which spelling she's incorrectly spelling. Okay, so that is how to use Spell Blast to set your own digital spellings and to track the progress of your students whilst they complete those spellings. So it's a lovely little tool. TT Blast will do the same. You just can't set your own times tables because the times tables don't change. But it will still collect the data in exactly the same format. Right, we're going to delve into setting homework through J2 Homework. So this can be done. We can set our own homework, so we can create our own, but we can also integrate library resources and we can set those as homework. So I'm going to show you how to do both, and I'm also going to show you how students complete homework. So J2 Homework is here, and this is how it opens. If there are any yellow ones, that means it is due soon. So this is due tomorrow, so that's why it's flagging up as yellow. We can see my homework. We can also see school homework. So the school homework is showing us what other teachers are setting. So I can see Mary has set some CVC words ready for her students to complete. So it's a great way of sort of seeing what other homeworks are going on. You can also show expired homeworks, and you can reset expired homeworks. So that's great. You know, as you use this more and more, it may be that this academic year 24-25, can't believe I'm talking about it already, but you might want to reinstate some homework from this September, next September. So you can do that just by clicking on that homework, and all you have to do is just edit and change the start date. So there you go. So to create homework, I'm going to click create homework, and I am going to, what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to add a file first and then title it, because I can't remember what I've got in my files. So I'm going to find an activity in my files, and I'm going to do that by clicking on that plus button, and that takes me directly into my files. So let's find an appropriate activity. I'm afraid it's all going to be presentations. So let's have a look at a pictogram. There we go. I'm going to set our mini beast hunt as a pictogram. So pictogram. Analyze this data. You can record your instructions. Obviously, that description could be as long or as short as you need it to be. Now, you don't have to add files either. So this could be a non-digital piece of homework. So this could just be practice your spellings, or create a drawing, or do some reading at home. They don't have to add a file. Okay. You've also got the option to add URLs. So this may be a video on YouTube you want them to watch, or a CBeebies game that you play. So you can add in any URL from external websites. So that's really nice. And you can add multiple files. So it could be that you have a reference file and then an answer sheet, for example. So you can add multiples. And then all we need to do is add our class. So we're going to choose which class we want to set this for. So just by clicking on it, that has now added that class. Alternatively, or as well as, you can set for individuals. So maybe this is, you know, a piece of homework just for a certain level of student. So you can choose them out of the list. And then we click OK, and that has added that. Then you start a start date. So by default, it always starts the same day at midnight. You can change that by just clicking on that calendar. So you could set this to appear on Monday, for example. And then you have a default due date as a week. So again, you can tailor that to whatever you need. And then you click create homework. So that is one way of doing the homework. As I said, you can set from the library as well. So we did have a look at the library last week, I think. I'm pretty sure we did. So the library is here. And any of these activities can be set as homework. So for example, maybe we're looking at internet safety this half term. It always seems to be a very common internet safety teaching term, this first one. So you'll notice here I've got homework. So I can click that. That auto generates the majority of the content. So it's added the title, it's added the description. You can edit that further if you need to. It's added a link to that library resource. And then all you have to do is just add your class. And again, change your start date and due date if you need to, and then click create homework. So that's a really quick and easy way of creating homework tasks for your students. So in terms of how your students access that homework, how they edit it and how they submit it, again, it's done through J2 Homework. And you can see they've got a little red number 1. In fact, if I refresh that page, you'll have 3 because I've added 2 more. Okay, so there's that J2 homework. So she gets that little sort of visual prompt that she's got one that she needs to look at. You'll see these little eyes. So these ones that she hasn't even looked at. So she knows she can differentiate. If there's a big long list of homeworks, maybe she's completed one, or well, if she's completed one, they'll be removed out of the list, but it just shows you which ones that she's looked at. So let's have a look at that internet safety rules activity. So to open it, she just clicks, and then she can see the title, the description. If there's any audio, that will show. And then she can click on that link. So if that was a file, so just to show you the file version instead, so this is this pictogram. So the file, that looks like that. So that's how they look slightly different with the homework to the library. It's a link. If you're adding a file from your My Files, you will see that file there. So we can click on either one. That's going to open that up. Now, because this is from the library, she can open up that library resource. And as soon as she starts editing, so let's say, don't talk to strangers online. And there we go. And then she saves that. So that's going to save that into her My Files. So then once she's done that, she then goes back to the homework entry. And to mark that as complete, she needs to add a file. So she can click add a file. So if this was maybe a non-digital piece of homework, she could take a photograph or a video. She can add a link to a separate website if she's doing it, maybe, I don't know, I'm trying to think of like Mathletics or some other educational website. She can add a link to a piece of work she's done there as well. But we're going to click on Files. And there is that internet safety rules that she's just completed. And then she clicks OK. So that has linked that to that piece of homework now. Then all she needs to do is click this mark completed. It's going to prompt her and say, are you sure you want to submit your homework? So she just clicks yes. So that now you'll notice that's removed that out of that list and it's sent it to my teacher to be submitted and to be marked. You can show completed ones. Maybe she's completed that. She's marked that as complete by mistake. So she can reinstate that by ticking that box. Now, as a teacher, how do we then mark that homework? So if I refresh, you'll notice that I've got all zeros on completed and submitted. If I refresh that page, I've now got one. So I can see that one person has submitted the homework. So I can click on that. And I've now got these tabs at the bottom of my homework. So it's showing me that Lottie has submitted her homework. I've got a completed tab and a not submitted tab. So this is my nagging tab. I know these are the children that I need to give a gentle, encouraging nudge to do their homework. And those are the ones that have submitted it in the hopes that it's good enough to be marked. So what we can do is we can click where it says view on Lottie's, and it's going to show me all the pieces of work. So remember, Lottie could submit multiple pieces of work for this homework if she wanted to. I can click and it's going to open that up. So it's going to open that file directly. So this is a new improvement. We've just added this in. It used to open up in their My Files and you used to have to find it in the list and it was a bit of a nightmare. So this is brand new. We can see any changes. And we could say, right, well, she started it. She clearly hasn't finished it. So what I can say is not yet complete. Obviously, if it was complete, I would tick the complete box, but it's not yet complete to the right standard. So I'm going to click that. And that has removed that from submitted. And she's gone back. Where is she? There she is at the bottom. It's gone back to not submitted. So back to Lottie. It's a bit of a complicated one to try and explain online. If I refresh my page, you'll notice that it has been reinstated in Lottie's homework. So she knows it's probably not good enough. So she can obviously edit that further. So let's open that up. Let's go to edit. Let's just don't post personal pics. And we can save that again. And then she follows the same process. So she can mark as complete because she's already added that. And that now gets sent again. So if I refresh my page and click submit, there it is. So you can play homework ping pong with your students for as long as you want. So let's imagine that has been completed. So she's completed it. So she now is in my completed folder. So that is how you set and mark homework from your students. Yeah. Okay. So hopefully that makes sense. It can be a little bit complex to get your head around, but it's just a digital version of what you would do with paper or books. You send it out for them to do their homework. They mark their homework. They make their homework, then they submit it. You mark it, say whether it's good enough. If it's not good enough, you send it back for them to redo it, and then they send it back to you. Okay. There is a video on YouTube all about homework. Okay, so we open the homework, make sure it's in submitted. You can view that. If it's not good enough, you mark not yet complete. If it is good enough, you mark as complete. Okay, we are just going to have a quick look at dashboard now. Now, the reason for this is where we can tailor some of the settings. We can also switch on the parent portal, and some of the J2 message settings are in here as well. I'm just conscious of time, as always. So J2 dashboard is here. It is an admin only tool, so only teachers will have access to this. I would recommend these settings. Potentially, I would leave these to the ICT lead, but just be aware that they are there. And the settings are down here along the left-hand side. So the parent portal, by default, will be active. So if you want to use the parent portal, that will need to be switched on. However, it will add a caveat to that. The parent portal, your parents will only have access if they are sent an email. So if they're invited via email. So even if that is switched on and you're not intending on using your parent portal, don't worry. Parents won't be able to access it unless they've been invited anyway. As an area, Aberdeenshire have chosen to not allow parents to message teachers. So you, as a teacher, can message parents through the parent portal and through J2 Message, but that will be default turned off. And that is part of your DPIA. So just be aware of that. You can also switch off whether parents see the child files or not. That is completely personal preference for schools. Some schools like it, some schools don't. And I will explain that once we look at the parent portal. Other things just to be aware of, the J2 message log. So we're going to look at J2 message next. It's a wonderful tool in my personal experience. I always struggled teaching, especially my older children, my year sixes, which is your P7s, really struggled to teach them how to communicate effectively and appropriately online with a school tool. So it was all very abstract. So you can message pupils, pupils can message you back, but you need to make every user aware that is using J2 message that every message is logged in that message log there. So if I was to click that, that would download a very large Excel file which lists every message. So you might need to write that into your accept or usage policy as part of your, using devices in school, both, well, for staff, pupils, and probably for parents as well. So please just bear that in mind, especially if you're an ICT lead. That may be something you need to write into that policy. Okay, that even includes deleted messages. However, that is a great tool for capturing evidence. So, for example, maybe you had a disclosure from a pupil. You have that as evidence, even if they've deleted it. Or if you had, I don't know, some inappropriate comments within a discussion board, you have that as evidence. So that is a safety thing more than anything. Okay. We will come back to the dashboard shortly, but I'm just going to show you, I'm going to get rid of homework. I'm going to show you J2 Message next. As I said earlier, fantastic tool for teaching your students how to communicate online in a walled garden environment. This is also how you would message parents if you choose to use the parent portal. So J2 Message is found here. It's this lovely icon. And this is what it looks like. So just to explain the interface, you have your message boards down the left-hand side. So we've got our different classes. We've also got whole school. Now, only teachers can message in the whole school. I will explain the messaging board shortly. But you've also got individuals as well. So you can search, for example, maybe I want to message my colleague Mary, or Mr. I can't remember how to remember his name, Gowdridge. I hope he doesn't watch this video. Or Mrs. White, that would have been a better one to choose. So I could message them. And you do get a notification that flashes up on your screen when you get a message. So that is quite a nice internal communication system if you need it. I can also message individual students. And I can search in that list. So for example, let's look for Lottie. Okay. Now, any student that has a parent or carer linked to it, that will appear underneath. So that is, I'm messaging that child. So you can see who you're messaging. If I want to message a parent or carer, I click on the linked parent or carer underneath, and that is showing me which parent it is, and it's highlighting that it's a parent or carer. So you always know who you're messaging by looking at that left-hand side. Now, I'm going to message a whole class. So class 1. Again, I've clicked on class 1 and you'll see that little sub discussion board. So if I wanted to message all my parents and carers, I can. But what I want to do is I want to message my students just to show you this as a teaching tool in itself. So what I can do is I can maybe ask them a question. So I could say, when did the Titanic sink? I'm not even sure if I know that answer. We'll go with it. So I can also use things like speech to text. I can attach things in the message. So let's see, this is linked into my files. Now it hasn't got a search function. That's a bit annoying. Right, I know what I'm doing straight after this. So I will feed that back. You should have a search function at the top. But for example, let's just add in an image just for argument's sake. So I can add multiple images in there and then I can hit send. So that now has sent to my students. So I'm going to log into my student account. Here she is again. Here's Lottie. And there you go. You get a nice little dialog box. So we can go straight to that. Alternatively, if I refresh my page, on J2 message, I do get that notification. And then when I open that up, there we can see this is the only class that Lottie has access to because it's the only class that she's in. And she can only message teachers whose class she is in. Okay. Now, Lottie can respond because of the way that I have set up my message board. So she can click that reply. You can switch that off. So don't worry. Okay. So let's get her to add in. I think it's 1912. I should know this. I've taught Titanic many times. I'm having a bit of a brain issue. Now, I wonder why it's not letting me send that. You've got to love a live demo when it doesn't work. It's something about the tech team. They love to save their little messing around in the background. They love to do that when I'm doing webinars. So that should have sent. I'm not sure why it hasn't. Oh, no, it hasn't. Okay, so just to highlight in the top, we've got notifications, so you can switch those off if you don't like the notifications coming in. As I said, you do have some power over whether your pupils can message back. So at the moment, I have this switched on to allow messages from pupils. I'm going to switch that off just to see if it makes a difference. And then I will have a go with letting Lottie send a message in a minute. So let's switch that back on. And I can also lock this. So it's locked at the moment. So that means pupils can't see other pupils' messages. You as a teacher will see all of your different pupils' messages, but they won't see each other's. Now, if I switch that off, if I unlock it, that means pupils can see each other's messages. So it really depends on the maturity of your students, the purpose of your teaching. If I was to teach this again, I would use this as a perfect teaching opportunity. I would probably unlock it whilst I was using this as a teaching opportunity. and to discuss appropriate online communication and things like, so let's go back to Lottie. So for example, let's see if we can send that now. It's not letting me. Tell you what, let's try. No, I don't know why it's not letting me send it. How annoying. So let's try, and I'm going to get Lottie to delete her comment here. So she can delete anything by pressing that red cross. Okay, so Lottie, so what I can do is I can reinstate any deleted message now. So you have the power, even when students delete things, and you can delete students' comments as well. So you can delete that if it was a silly comment, for example. I can reinstate these. So I can say show deleted messages. And as I scroll up, you'll see the ones in red are the deleted messages. So you do always have that evidence. You can see these, I've deleted all of these as well. So you do have that as evidence. That's a great teaching opportunity, because let's face it, anything you put out on the internet is generally, you can't get rid of it. So it's great for teaching digital footprint, is what I'm trying to say. So in a perfect world, I would have been able to send a message as a pupil, but I'm not sure why it's not working. So let's hope it's working for messaging parents. So that works in a very similar format. So what we can do is we can, as long as there are linked parents, we can click where it says message your parents and carers. And again, I can send out a message. So I could say school starts at 9 a.m. on Monday. Okay, I can add attachments if I wanted to here. I can dictate that using speech to text. I can also order it and add bullet points and all sorts, and then I can hit send. So that now has sent to my parents. So I will show you that now whilst we're looking at Parent Portal. So that is J2 Message. That is sending messages to pupils and then showing the option to send messages back from your pupils when it works properly. So the Parent Portal, I'm going to show you just a little video about how to set this up. Am I? Yes, it's a 2-minute video, so bear with me. This video is available in the help tile. So if you click here and just type in Parent Portal, there's a whole raft of articles and this video for you to refer back to. Okay, so I'm going to play this and full screen it. Hopefully it'll work.
We're going to look at the Parent Portal within the Just2Easy tool suite. As a teacher, click on the J2 Dashboard tile and you will see a Parent tab. First, select the class you're working with, Year 3 in this case. At the moment, there are no families connected. Let's invite a parent for Peter Young. Click Invite Parent, then enter the parent's email address. You can see that an invite is pending. Here is what the parent will see. This is their phone, but it could be any device. The parent receives the invite email. They fill in a few details and a password, and they are then connected to their child. They will see a message inviting them to install the app. They click on that and follow a few instructions to add to home screen. The app is now added to the phone. The parent now uses the registration details to log into the app. Now, as a teacher, you're going to connect a second pupil to the same parent. Follow exactly the same process as before. The parent receives another email, but this time they don't need to register. They simply log in to add the second child. That has now connected the parent to both children in the app, and they can choose which child to view. If we go back to Peter for a moment, the parent can see that Peter has been awarded 2 stars.
Okay, I'm going to stop it there just because I'm actually going to show you in real time. So that is the setup for the Parent Portal. Just to review, You invite your parents through J2 Dashboard, you've got your Parents tab, and you send them an email. Now, it is in development. We are working towards a simpler solution where you can send out a QR code. So you send out the same QR code and it invites them to the class. So that will be a simpler system soon. Hopefully that is out this term. We will announce it on Facebook when it comes out. So the parent portal, I'm just going to change my screen. I'm now logging in just to, confuse matters. I'm going to log in as a completely different account. This is my parent account. We do have the app that's available in the App Store now. So that you can search for Just2Easy and that comes up. The parents will obviously register for a parent portal account and they can use that to log in. Now, if they're not accessing via the app, they can go to parent.j2e.com in a web browser, and that will take them to the same area. And then we're going to sign in. So this is my parent view. You can link multiple siblings to the same parent, and equally you can add multiple parents or carers to a child. So it could be mum, dad, grandma, grandpa. They can all be able to access that child's account. So there we've got Lottie, and this is what the parent portal looks like from the parent's perspective. So you can see the homework tasks that we've set earlier. So I can click in those. Your parents will be able to view these. They won't be able to complete them on behalf of the child. So you know that you can see that there's no mark as complete box. So you know any homework submitted is done by a child. They have access to the J2 stars, so they can click in that, and that is their view, same as the pupils. They can change the avatar, but that might be something nice for the parents to do at home with their children. They do have this button, so that links to the same place. That just gives an overview that there's 2 outstanding tasks. They can upload files. So if we click this, they can choose files. So for example, here's my daughter, bless her. They can click photos. I think if you're accessing this on a phone, or in the app, you also have the option to take photos and videos directly into it. And I think there's the option to record sound directly into it as well. So there is a bit more functionality if you are accessing this from the app or on some sort of mobile device as opposed to a desktop like I am. And then we can just click open and that loads. Now just make your parents aware, once they've loaded something in, they don't have the ability to delete it back out again. So just get them to be very mindful, especially if they're loading things from a mobile device, that it is an appropriate image. That's all I'm saying. So there we go. So that is uploaded. Now that will load into that pupil's My Files area. Now I did show you earlier, you have the ability to switch it off, so you can remove this as a tile. Some schools like it, some schools don't. Now, the reason for that, if I click the child files, your parents will have access to all of their children's work, whether that's rough work, whether that's things that they're just messing around with, having a bit of a paint or an animate. So some schools just want their parents accessing best pieces of work. So again, personal preference, you can switch that off if you don't want them to access it, and that is done through the dashboard. Okay, but there we go. We can see all these pieces of work, so your parent can have a look and they can say, oh, that's good, yeah, they're doing some nice work there. There's an observation that we did as part of nursery, so if you're working with nursery students, they can also comment on any of these pieces of work. So we could say, here we go, let's say Lottie looks like she's having fun. So that is now a 3-way dialogue box. So I did show you learning conversations last week. So as a teacher, you will get that flagged up on the pupil files. And then lastly, you've got this message board here. Okay, so it shows us a message. I can see it's in class 1 because it's got this green eye. School starts at 9 AM and I can't message back. So even though it allows me to click and say reply, that box is now greyed out. So that is what you'll have because that is default switched off for Aberdeenshire. but your parents will be able to access content. If they've been messaged privately by a teacher as well, that will show up as well. So I'm hoping I've covered everything. Oh, Webby. We've also got Webby. I can't remember if I show this. So content can be pushed. My mouse is having a bit of a glitch. There we go. This is your class blog site. So any work can be pushed to the class website. So this is a great solution if you don't like the idea of your parents being able to access the pupils or see the pupils, all their files within their My Files. You could just use this as a digital display board where pupils then push their best pieces of work up to be published. So that can be done on any tool. So I'm going to do this as a teacher. So for example, let's push this one. So this is a J2E5 file. In every tool, you'll have this publish button. Now, as a teacher, I can push this content to J2 Webby, and that will publish straight away. If I was a pupil, that would need to be moderated by a teacher first. But just to show you, so I'm going to refresh this page. There you go. There's that body parts activity straight up. I can view it. It has full interactivity. These are the parts of the body. So any videos play, any sounds play, any draggable buttons will drag, any jigsaws will jigsaw. So you can use that as a digital display board, and each class has their own display board. Right, I've done it with 3 minutes to spare. That was a rate of knots, I'm afraid. However, I'm going to ask for some feedback. It is a tricky webinar to deliver this one because it's difficult to allow you to practice at the same time. These are the types of things that you have to go away and have a little play with your pupils having a go. So setting homeworks, trying out message, J2 stars and Spell Blast. So Julia is very kindly going to add in a link to this website, or you can scan this using a mobile device. So this is a QR code. You can open up a camera app on a mobile device, scan it and click the link. So I'd love to know any feedback, especially if there's things that I haven't covered in the last 2 sessions that you really want to see next session, because I am in the process of planning that. But I was planning to look at JIT Mix, J2 Code, bit of J2 data, and a little bit more at J2E5. So that was hopefully for next Tuesday session. But if there are things that you really want me to go over again, pop that in the feedback as well, because I'd really like to try and incorporate some things that you would find useful. Lastly, I'm just going to remind you that we have got these training sessions as well. So this is just2easy.com/training. Again, I will put this in the chat. In fact, I'll copy that now and pop that in the chat if I can find it. There we go. So that is the training. You have so far covered the introduction to the tool suite. We've just done the Just2Easy teacher tools, and next steps will be on Tuesday. And that's repeats of those. So you could have a look at the intermediate sessions. So we've got things like Parent Portal. We're doing a full half an hour on that. I've done 20 minutes today. So if you do want a refresher, that's on the 19th of September. We've got things like J2E5 and coding coming up. And then the advanced sessions, we are linking that to the curriculum. So this is always massively subscribed, writing in foundation stage and writing in key stage 2. And then we're going to look at sort of numeracy and SEND and early years and all sorts. So there's lots of opportunities for training. They're all free, don't have to pay for them. And then lastly, a shameless plug for our social media. This is our this is our email address, edteam@j2e.com. So if you want to know any more, or if you want to get in touch with us, you can. We are on Facebook, just search for Just2Easy. We're also on Twitter, formerly known as, no, we're on X, formerly known as Twitter. Sorry, I thought I had my toddler being dropped off early. And we're on YouTube. And that is a big one because we are posting all of our videos. There's lots of help videos. There's lots of webinars on there. So please have a look for us on YouTube. So Have we got any questions at all?
So Nikki, there's a couple of questions in the chat. We've got, are pieces of work on J2 Webby available for the whole class and parents to see? So I've said yes to that.
Yeah.
Is it possible to have an area for sharing with parents for each pupil rather than them seeing all files? So like an individual blog, I suppose. That's what that means.
No, there's not. But what we do have in development is we're looking at creating a digital portfolio that parents would then have access to, so that you'll be able to restrict what they will be able to see. So that is in the pipeline, but it's not in production yet. So it's a not yet, but soon is the answer to that question.
Okay, so I think that answers that one. Is it available on Android for staff as an app rather than the parent portal app? So is J2E available as a staff app?
Oh, in terms of just accessing Just2Easy, not the
I
parent
think so.
portal. I believe so. Yes, I think if you look for Just2Easy, I will double check that. I know it is on the App Store. I'm pretty sure it is on the Android store. So there should be two apps. There should be one for Parent Portal, and there should be one for Just2Easy.
Perfect. That's the only questions that we've got in the chat, unless anyone wants to put their hands up or anything. I guess people might want a bit of time to think about it and stuff. So we do have that team, the Just2Easy team. I wonder if I can find the join code again that I can put in the chat, and people can join that if they want to be part of the team and they think of any questions and they can ask them in there. So that's the join code for the team there.
Brilliant.
Okay. So I think that's it, Nikki. Thanks very much for taking the time to, oh, here we go. Sorry, there's another question just come in. Does the staff app have a different name?
It should be Just2Easy or J2E. Has it come up? I can't search on mine because I'm an iPhone user.
Look. Oh, Miss Marky's found it.
J2
I've just
launch.
found it. It's called J2 Launch. Yeah.
Panicking. I think I missold everyone. Yeah, they should be two. So, like, just showing you on my screen, there's a Just2Easy parent portal. So that's for your parents, and then there is J2 Launch, which is underneath. So the J2 Launch one is for staff and pupils. But the parent portal one is very much for the parent side of the parent portal.
Right, Ainsley's thinking that she maybe that was on iPhone, so let's see about Android. 2 seconds. We can always find out the answer to this and pop it in the team if we need to. Perfect. So thank you very much, Nikki, for your time as always. And we'll see you on Tuesday for the next bit. So again, just to reiterate what Nikki had said, if you have got any feedback about anything you want to go over again next week, pop that into the feedback form that Nikki put up on the screen and I've put in the chat. But yeah, thank you everybody for your time today. I hope you found that useful and we'll see you on Tuesday.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Bye-bye. I'm going to go, Julia, before my toddler
That's all right.
comes
Yeah, that's okay. Thanks very much, Nikki. Bye.
See you later.
See you.
Julia,
Yeah.
do you have a moment for a technical question?
Yeah, but I'll try.
I tried to catch Jim earlier today, but
do you want to, shall we come out of here and I'll phone you? Okay, cool. I'll just finish the meeting up for everybody.
Thank you.
I'll give you a call. Okay, cheers, Donna.
Bye.
Bye.